Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
Think you know what way it's going to go? Make your bet with Sports Interaction. Whether it's hockey, football, or basketball, Sports Interaction has you covered. Bet pregame, live in play, or on one of our many prop bets. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all sports betting has to offer. Want to bet? Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. 19 plus. Please play responsibly. I just want to open this show with a very sincere thank you to anyone who has the energy to not only watch this, but also especially to our third time returning guest, Terry McGurrin. Dude, I would not have been like that upset if you said I can't do it. I have to go to bed. I can't handle this.
It's yeah, well, I mean, you sent me the message first saying I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah. I mean, at least it was a bit more interesting towards the end, but like that's brutal. Anyway, I would say I did this on purpose for you. I just noticed. Oh, I'm actually wearing this today. I'm wearing my my Beatles Peanuts shirt.
Nice.
And I'll pretend it was just for you, buddy. Yep. I don't even. Where did you even start with this? Like, there's a million different ways to go.
I would start this way. I would say that if this game had happened before the Christmas break, we'd be taking so many positives away from it. But tonight,
I hate how good of a point that is. That's yeah.
Hard to take a positive away from this. I mean, it was exciting, but that embellishment on Giroux.
Oh. After the no call on Makar in the first,
I thought I was so angry that they cut away to a commercial because I wanted to see Giroux realize he had been called for it. I'm sure he kept his cool, but at the end of the game, I did see him say "good fuck off" to the ref.
That was so. I think we can safely say maybe one team had it worse than the other. I won't say any names, but the refs for both sides, garbage.
Yes.
Absolutely garbage. I think I saw a lot of people saying, well, it was a 1-goal game, and yeah, the Avs were gifted a goal, but like the Sens were gifted a goal on that power play. No, guys. The Sens were gifted an opportunity on that power play where they scored. Colorado was genuinely 100% gifted a goal. It's very different. It's very different.
Yeah, even Lars Eller, when he put it in, at first was kind of like shrugging, smiling, like
look what I did.
I know it's not going to count. I know, fuck, crazy.
Just, so I have notes. I don't even know if it's worth going through them. Like, it just feels like a mess of a, So, okay, well, let's start with one positive. The fact that, do I have the final shot count here available to me? Here we go. 36-30 in favor of Ottawa when they started out 8-0 for Colorado, I want to say.
Yeah, I think so. Ottawa went almost 8 minutes without a shot to start the game.
Which is nuts because it's so you're like 8 minutes into the game. Shots are 7 or 8-0 for Colorado. The score is 2-0, and that's the start you have against a goalie who sucks. Frankly, because Colorado had I believe he's their third string, I think, and his NHL career save percentage is .884, and it's not like a fluky he had a couple bad calls. Like, he's played 33 NHL games, he has an .884 save percentage, and you don't put a shot on net until 8 minutes in.
I think I'm willing to bet that Colorado knew Ottawa's going to come out gangbusters because we played last night and went to OT. Or shootout. They went all the way to the shootout. So they're thinking Ottawa's going to come out strong. Let's match it. And if we run out of gas afterwards, who cares? But let's kill the building right away, which is a smart play. And then, of course, they got 2 goals out of it. So, and Ottawa didn't get their first shot until they were almost done their power play.
And then I think the Sens went on a run of where the shots were like 10-1 in their favor. So just as painful as the game was, it really was back and forth for a majority of it. Like, the Sens never felt like 100% out of it. Like when it was 5-2 after that Eller goal, it kind of felt like a lost cause. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't I wasn't sure how they would come out of the dressing room to start the third after that
yeah.
goal. Cuz I don't know how they shake that off. I was still angry right to the end of the game.
Oh, I've never seen DJ run through the hall that fast. He was out of there so
It,
fast.
and when they cut to him, when the audience cheered the first icing
Oh,
call, and DJ is
yeah.
clapping too, I was like, "Oh, buddy, you're
That's
going to take a bench minor."
I mean, I love that, but like I can't believe he wasn't screaming at the refs on that goal. Like I understand why he challenged, because he had to do something. Like
Yeah.
it's not. I think everyone knew it's not going to be goaltender interference. That's just not what the play was. But he had to do something. I get it. But like I think maybe it's because I'm a diehard Blue Jays fan, and two of their last three managers were like kicked out a lot. Like uh, both Gibby and Montoya were like kicked out a lot, ejected a lot. So I think just part of it there is that when something like that happens, I want to see minimum two forehead veins popping, and I just nothing like that. So I don't know if he's waiting. He's like, I'll wait to get fined for after the game. We'll see. I
Yeah.
hope he has something to say in his
I,
post
I
game.
mean, I'm sure he can't not mention it, and
Right.
I don't think he'll say, "Well, these things happen." I think he'll say something, but in the moment, it's a hard call. I think he challenged it because he wanted to give them an opportunity to kind of go, okay, fuck, we missed the icing, we missed the whistle when Sogard clearly had possession of the puck.
Yeah.
Let's say that the pad was pushed in, like even if it wasn't, let's fucking
Right.
say it.
Yeah.
And Cheryl Pounder mentioned that there's a ref in the building, not on the ice, which I don't know. I think that's the first time I've ever heard that, or I knew it and forgot it, that could have called down and said that play should have been dead. Like, that's a dead play. What are you doing?
It's yeah. I can't remember. Sorry to whoever tweeted this. If you're watching, I forget who tweeted, but someone mentioned on Twitter how like, sure, if that play was offside to the point of a millimeter where the refs physically can't see it 30 seconds ago, that can be called back. But because they decided not to blow the whistle on an icing or a goalie possession to blow the play dead, they're like, well, there's nothing we can do. It's
It
such a
is
broken
weird.
system. And yeah, it is weird that like if they have, like a floating ref watching everything, like you'd think they'd give that ref like, just basic power to be like, no, this is an obvious no go. But
Yep.
ugh,
Yep.
I don't
Good
know.
hits too. 28-15 for Ottawa were the hits. Like, we were really pouring them on at the end there.
Yeah. Yeah. Batherson had a huge one. Like a lot of players that you wouldn't expect throwing.
Batherson throws, like, when he throws hits, he's a big
It
boy, right?
works.
Like,
It works. Yeah.
it would, man, if he played that way all the time, oh shit. I think also being on Kachuk's line again is probably
It's really
jazzing him
helping.
up a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of line shuffling with this one. Yeah. With the Greg being called up and stuck on the second line. Like that's pretty. He looked good. I think. Like as
It,
far as if we're taking some positive out of the game, I think yeah, really Greg looked really really solid. Don't send him back down again, please.
it's a weird thing. I have to say though, because it's not like he was lighting it up in the AHL. Like, when he was
No.
sent down, he had whatever it was, like one point over 6 games or something. Like, it was
Yeah.
like, okay, so does he have his confidence back? And not that I understand that his ceiling is much higher, and that's who the Ottawa fans want to see. Like, calling up Lucchini, everyone would be like, why? What are you doing?
Yeah.
But Lucchini also has like 13 points in his last 15 games. So it's a weird, I don't
Yeah.
know. You know, I'm
Strange.
I'm I'm waiting for Lassie Thompson's call up. He's got 14 points in his last 16. I don't know if
Yeah.
you caught. I don't know if you caught the last nights where Utica tied it up with a minute and 11 seconds left, and then Lassie Thompson scored with 13 seconds left to get the lead back. And it was just
Wow.
like, all right, this kid's fucking got some mojo right now. Let's get him up
Which
here.
is good, yeah, because I think he was called up for 2 games this season, and he kind of got caved in on both of them. But I can't even remember who he was paired with, and I don't think
Yeah,
whoever he was paired with was much help. Um,
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah,
He
I
certainly didn't get to play with Sanderson,
no,
like,
no.
yeah, this was a weird game, man.
That was yeah. I don't even know what I want to talk. If there's anything else about this game I really want to talk about. Stützle up to 76 points in 64 games. So
Yeah, yeah.
just that's the thing. He's having so many quiet 3 points here, 2 points here. Like it's just piling up, absolutely piling up.
He's
Um,
fantastic. He's
he's gonna hit
just
100 points at some point in his career. He's
oh.
going to like
So
unreal.
in the yay or nay, they brought up.
Oh, I, Bruce. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know we definitely touched on this last time, but Bruce to say they have to trade DeBrincat is kind of crazy. Like I mean, luckily there's no ownership left for him to talk to right now.
That's
So,
true. That's
because
true.
usually when
Yeah.
Bruce would say something like that, you'd go, "Oh fuck, Melnick wants to move him,"
Yeah.
and he's just telling Bruce, "Go soften up the crowd for me,"
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But now Bruce is just saying whatever the hell he wants, I think. But I don't know. He said you got to
Hmm.
move him and get that first round pick, and I'm like, what first round pick? Whose pick are you getting?
No. Like. Okay. So let's see if we can speak something into existence for a second show in a row here. Because
Okay.
for those who didn't tune in last time Terry was on the show, we spent a good 10-15 minutes talking about a potential Jacob Chikrin trade. 20 hours later, he's in Ottawa. So let's see what we can do here. So how do you feel about? Because I'll throw my opinion at you in general. I hate a yes or no question being should this player be re-signed, because it's so much more than that. There's term, there's cap hit, like there's contracts I think I would love to see the Sens sign to Brinkett to, and there are contracts I wouldn't want to see him sign to, right? Like just to be like yes or no on a player and saying no, I think is absolutely insane. um
And on the flip side, same thing with do you trade him? Because then it's like, for
yeah.
what? What is the return?
Yeah.
Like,
So I do think though, before we get into like if we want to start throwing some numbers around, I do think he's young and he's having an off season, right? So I think I brought this up last year that I think he's just going to take the qualifying offer and bet on himself and try and drive up the price for next off season when he'll be a UFA. So I can't see him like in a perfect world, like the Sens sign him 8 years at 7.5 mil per year. It's not going to happen. Like there's no way. There's not a chance. If it is an 8x9, he's just going to take his qualifying, hope that he puts up 45, 50 goals next year and has like a huge year. And then that way he's coming off his best season. He'll be 26 years old and still have no UFA years bought out at that point, right? So it just feels like he to me he seems like the guy who's going to bet on himself.
you really think he would turn down 8 times 9?
No. I'm saying that's what you
Oh
need to
yeah.
give him. Yeah. If it's less than that, I can't. Even 8x8, I could see him being like, I'll take my 9 this season and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe 8 by 8.5. Or if they offered him the exact same money as Stützle, I don't know.
Yeah, because I think that's going to be part of it too. Is because I don't know, I don't know how much I buy into that. So many people are like, well, you can't give this guy this contract or he'll be your highest paid player and this player is better than him. But like you have to take into account like when contracts are signed and like the cap at the time and everything, right? So
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know if Pierre's one of those guys who says, well, I can't pay you more than Tim or
Well,
Kachuk.
but we definitely thought that Stützle wouldn't get more than Kachuk at this point. Like I
Right.
thought so anyway. I thought, well, Kachuk, they made that offer. That's a good offer. That's what Stützle will get. But they paid
Yeah.
him more. So maybe they do bump up to 8.5 and see if that'll get 8 years. But do you
Yeah.
want that? Do you want that deal? Do you take that deal? Do you jump on it? Are you
If
excited about it?
I'm going to DeBrincat's agent and I say I'll give you an 8x8 today, and they come back at me with 8x8.5, I just take it. 500K, it's not worth getting. Like 500K a year, I don't think that's worth getting into a back and forth and risk burning bridges or upsetting one party. But I also don't even know if an 8x8 or even 8x8.5 would be on the table. I don't know, because I think DeBrincat would, like, look at what goal scorers are getting paid, right? Like,
Yeah.
obviously it's not a perfect example, but Pasternak has put up so many goals, so many seasons, and he got what, 11 and change, I think, which frankly, he took a discount to stay in Boston.
Yes.
Because of course he did. Oh my god. So if DeBrincat's like, if I come back next year, score 45 goals, and show that I can score 40 plus goals, or at least on pace for 40 plus goals every other year, there's no way he takes anything that starts with an 8, right? Like at that point.
True. True.
So I don't know. It depends. The more I talk about it, the more I'm like, well, maybe he's fine with like an 8x8 ish in that general area. I don't know. I don't know where his mind is at, but he kind of gives me the I don't know. He gives me a vibe where I'm like, he would bet on himself. I see him as someone who, I don't know. I feel like he's comfortable betting on himself.
I guess it's such a hard thing, like especially next year, right? Because next year the teams he'd want to play on don't have room for him. Like,
Right.
so if Ottawa's moving him, they have to. I don't even know how you'd do it. What team
Yeah.
is, you know? Is it Montreal? Does Montreal have $9 million of cap space, or are we taking back a player and a pick? Maybe they would throw us
And
Florida's first.
we know Pierre hates trading in the division too. Looking back at, Mike Hoffman,
Yeah.
because back then, that's for those who don't know. Despite the fact that Hoffman ended up on Florida, the original plan was Florida was in on Mike Hoffman from the Sens, and Pierre said no, even though they offered more than San Jose because he didn't want him in the division. So sends him to San Jose, immediately flipped to Florida. So I don't know. I like this is so tough. This is a tough one. I don't know. What if you what's a contract that you think is fairly realistic that DeBrincat could sign that you would be okay with? Like, what do you what's an overpay for you, in your opinion?
An overpay would be 8.85 is what I on an 8-year deal, that's what
Right.
I'd be willing to offer. But you're 100% correct in, like, if he is on a 40 goal pace next season, he'll be like, I could have had 10,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Um,
It all depends. I think that's the thing. I think if and it also depends like how much he likes it so far, right? Like if he's like
yeah.
this, I love playing for this team, and they're offering me 8 million for the next 8 years. Maybe he's just like, you know what? That's a fucking shit ton of money. I'm just gonna take it and enjoy my time here. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
It's a tough one because it's in that situation you're like, okay, well, I don't know the new owners. I don't know the new coach. I assume that maybe the GM, the coach, and the owners are all going to change. And then I've already signed a deal here. I don't know.
That's yeah. And you would hope that the sale would come, you know, at least early off season.
Well, they are
But
saying that, right? Isn't
they're
that what?
they're going through bids right now, I think. And I actually brought this up on the last show that I did, where I think we need to understand that we're probably going into next year with either neither one of Pierre and DJ or both of them. It's either going to be a complete like revamp of management, like a new ownership might come in and just clean house. I don't know if new ownership is going to come in and pick and choose who stays. I think it's usually either you clean house or you just kind of leave it as is and hope for the best. But um, I don't know.
I don't know how the fan base would take it if DJ stayed.
Okay, so what do you think would upset people more, DJ staying or Pierre getting fired after having honestly like a great 9 months?
uh, I think DJ staying would upset the
Right.
fan base more because it's so clear that our defensive system has not worked while he's been here
Yeah.
and nothing's
Yeah.
been done about it. And if not
Yeah.
for our power play clicking this season, we would be the most dreadful team in the NHL.
And
Like our
now
five
that the
up.
power play doesn't work, but
Yeah.
5-on-5 apparently does.
Yeah.
Actually, well, that said, Sens were what, 2 for 5 in the power play tonight, so like maybe turning around, but yeah, like
Yeah.
that road trip, the power play on that road trip they just came off of was just like I can't even I can't even begin to talk about how painful that is. Like the second that 5v5 starts working, just the power play is gone.
Yeah.
Is gone. So
Yeah. It was great.
yeah. So it can never all be clicking at once. It can't. It can't.
Yeah.
So, and I know a lot of people were talking about as far as new coaches go. People were really excited about the idea of Barry Trotz. He's the new GM in Nashville now, or going to be after the season. Um, Still hope for Bruce Boudreau, I guess. If he wants to go back to coaching next season, might want some time off. I don't know, but
I think he'd jump on the chance to coach Ottawa right now.
it seems
Uh,
like a fun group to coach at the very least.
yeah. And I guess that's another, do they need a friend? Like, that's the thing. Everyone's like, DJ's like so good with the young kids. And it's like, well, do they still need a friend at this point? Or do they need someone to go like, oh, fuck, I don't know.
Yeah, like not to keep talking about the Blue Jays, but they had a manager switch mid-season last year, and after they had fired Montoyo, a lot of people, including like star players like Bo Bichette, said, like because Montoya had always been seen as like he's great with the young players, he's really supportive and everything, and then after he was fired, Bo Bichette basically said like, no, this is good. Like we need someone to really like kind of kick our ass into gear here. So
Yeah.
I think you need that kind of nurturing kind of presence when they're all rookies, but a lot of these guys are on year 4, year 5 now. Outside of, well, I guess Stutzel's on year 3, so most of them are year 3 to 5, somewhere in there as far as most of the core goes. So maybe
Yeah.
they're at the point now where you have to get that hard ass who's not afraid to yell at you as much
Yeah.
as you need to hear it. So
Yeah. I wonder how Giroux like feels about like the kid gloves in the locker room. Is he just like, we're losing on this road trip, the playoffs are evaporating, and you're still being buddies, you know?
yeah,
And I think it. I mean, I don't know where you're at. Is it wrong as a Sens fan to say like I think playoffs? We can say that's not happening
yeah,
now.
I think yeah. I mean, they were. I would say that at the I would say at like the most likely point they were still a dream. It was a tough ask, even following
Yeah,
those back-to-back wins against Detroit. I would love to go back to then right now, just that feeling again of like this team is so good and so
yeah,
good. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think the way that I was constantly saying this is fun, but next year's the year was me knowing I need to have a bit of padding for this fall off that was coming. Um, but yeah, no, next year's the year, I hope. But yeah, like I think you're right with a bit with like if you can bring in a coach with better defensive structure and fill out the depth a little bit more. Um, this
yeah,
this team, because the core is, I won't say it's the best in the league by any means, but I feel confident with this core playing up against anyone else in the league, frankly.
yeah. I think you're next year you've got Greg is gonna put on some weight hopefully and has learned a little bit about like what he needs to do to succeed in the NHL now. You've
Yeah,
got you've got Norris coming back in, which slots our centers down. Like that's
yeah,
massive. Um And I mean, well, I guess the big thing that becomes the thing, like that whole thing of like, well, if DeBrincat is like, well, I'm not signing this, and I want over 9 if you want to sign me for 8 years, or I'm
Yeah.
taking the 1 year deal, and then Ottawa's like, well, what do we hang on to him till trade deadline? No, we've got to move him now so that we're getting the most value we can. It becomes a nightmare.
That's the thing, right? Because you're going to get more for him in an offseason trade
Yeah.
for sure. So that's concerning. Or maybe, you know, maybe Ryan Reynolds comes in and DeBrincat has so much fun with all the cameras around for the new documentary series. He's like, you know what, I'm going to stick around and get those TV residuals. I don't know if the players get any of that, but I don't know how it works for like documentary series. If maybe you just get your one time appearance fee or whatever. I know. I once talked to a guy who was on Canadian Pickers. He's like, yeah, I got paid for that episode. I don't know if he gets residuals on it or not, but yeah, I guess you're as good as anyone to ask about that kind of stuff if you know what. what that
Yeah,
would involve.
I don't know how documentary works. I know for live action there are resids, but
Yeah.
I don't know if a documentary is a separate category. I've never been in a documentary. Um, yeah. Oh man.
That's a call out to hey Ryan Reynolds, when you buy the Sens and you're looking for footage from podcasts, feel free to pull from this, and then you can give Terry his documentary
That's
debut.
right. Yeah.
That's
I'd
it.
appreciate that. I'd appreciate that. And one of the reasons I say, and it's not just because Ottawa's fallen off a little bit, because numerically we still have a chance.
Hmm.
Um, but the main thing is I was kind of looking at like the matchups the Islanders and Pittsburgh are left with, and it is so easy.
It's the
Like,
opposite of the Sens schedule. It's
yeah,
yeah.
they have some real easy games. And right now it's Ottawa or Washington probably have the hardest matchups remaining. So there's
Yeah.
still Buffalo and Florida above us too. Like, Florida, what the hell did they put in 9 goals in the first period? What the hell did they do tonight?
Yeah, I think it was 7-3 after the first,
Jeez.
which yeah. Oh,
Montreal got 3 goals. Good for them.
yeah. I think final was 9-5.
9-5, yeah, was
I
the
say yeah. So, and hey, speaking of crazy blowouts, at the very least, you're on this Abs game and not the last one where they beat the Sens 7-0.
oh.
Um, I think so. What is it? The Sens have. I think the Sens have. What was the last game that you were on for? Was it? I don't even remember which game that was.
We won. We won the last time I was on.
Was it?
Didn't
Was
we?
it? That was the last game before trade. Last game before. I don't even remember what game you were on last. I'm sorry, man. I don't even remember which game that was. Um. Either way, the unfortunately for you, the Sens point percentage with you on game over is not ideal. Either way. Um. Let's see here. You were on for. Oh, it was the second Detroit game, so that would have been the 6-2. Was it 6-1 and then 6-2? I think so.
Yeah.
Still pretty
So,
good. So 1
yeah.
and 2 record.
Yeah. 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 That first one was not
Yeah.
good at
I'll
all.
I'll 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 give you the layup games next season, and
Sweet.
see if we can get you on for some like an undefeated run.
That'd be- yeah.
um. Yeah. So at this point, knowing that because like the Islanders are 8 points up. Like I think Sens are 8 points back of the Islanders with 3 games in hand. So even then, it's not looking great. So
No, no.
yeah, no playoffs this year probably, but and I think it's a mix of just because the way that the Sens season has gone, it started out so brutal, and then got better, and now it's kind of brutal again because Sens are 1-5 in their last 6. So I think it's that brutal start and kind of this really really rough end that maybe not. No, scratch that. I think it's the fact that they played so well in the middle that in our minds we're like, oh, playoffs were definitely on the table, and maybe they were at one point. But
Yeah.
I do think that you have to look at this season as at the very least, like if not like a complete success, at the very least, like it was it helped progress the team. I think it was not as much of a success as it could have been, but I think it's still a positive overall this season.
I agree. And I mean, we went on the road with no Talbot, no Forsberg. There's not a lot
Yeah,
of teams in the NHL that can have their starter and their backup go down and fight for a playoff spot. I don't know too many teams that could
that's
do
yeah. Yeah, like I think they said on the broadcast, you don't get a Hamburglar run too often. So
no.
that was a tall order for sure. But yeah, I think next season both goalies don't get injured. Norris isn't out all season, and Zub isn't hurt 3 times. Like I think there's a better chance of the core staying healthy. I hope. Hopefully Shabbat plays more like Shabbat next season as well. And like I mean, I know I was just saying how great the core is. In my opinion, I do think that there are a few things that need to go right for the core to be as elite as they can be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm already I'm unfortunate not to act like I don't care about the remaining whatever. This was game what 60? Was this game 64? 5? I don't know. I can't do math. Anyway, the next 15 or so games, like I'm still gonna watch them intently and have a great time watching them. But I'm already thinking about I'm already like building next year's lineup in my head, which is tough to do without knowing what the DeBrincat situation is going to be. But because I don't know. I think you might have a point. If he's like, I'm taking my qualifying offer and that's it, Pierre might feel the pressure to move him. So I don't know.
I think they'd have to, wouldn't they? I think they'd have to.
You can't risk him walking. Like if he walks, that's a disaster. Because like you're in a okay. Now imagine so in this situation, like oh, I'm getting upset. You're in a playoff spot. Okay, you're in a playoff spot come trade deadline. DeBrincat's on the roster on his QO. He's going to be a UFA at the end of the season. Like, what the hell do you do in that situation? It's like that's the situation you need to try and avoid, right? Like
I don't think I'd be very hesitant to say that we're a cup contender next year. I think we're a playoff team next year, but a cup contender would be a tough sell. And it's not like we've got this aging core, so you're like, no, we've got to hang on to everyone and just go for it because this is our last the can. You can't do that. You've got a bunch of 23 to 25-year-old superstars or elite talent on your team.
Yeah, I do think the issue with that is that there's this like it almost feels like a 2 like I'm not saying that the contention window is this long. There's a very specific window of 2 years until Chychrun needs a raise. And I don't know what you do when that comes because after 2 years, Chychrun's going to need a raise and Sanderson's ELC's done.
Yes.
That's going to cause some issues.
But there is big money. There's like this year they're talking $1 million. I don't believe Gary Bettman when he said, "Oh, it could be 3.5 or 4 or whatever the hell he said."
Yeah, the cap's gonna be 90 in 3 years. Like, yeah, whatever.
But I do think that in 2 years there is gonna be a bump, and if there's a significant bump, and I'm still of the mindset that Chychrun's also a lefty. You've got Clevin coming in, a second pairing left-hand D-man is easier to find. So when we're stuck, I still feel like Chabot is the first guy I move. If we've signed a long-term deal with DeBrincat. I know.
You brought this up your first time on in November, and I was like, yeah. But now with Sanderson and Chychrun, you're starting to convince me, man. You're starting to pull me in.
And here's a question. We got you, like you said, you got the 15 games left, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Are you? I mean, at some point, you just have to stop playing Watson and Gambrell, like the guys that you know aren't coming back next year. Don't you want to bring some young guys up and see what you've got?
Yeah.
I mean, Bernard Docker is on a one-way next year anyway, right? Like he's not ELC, so he's gonna have to be part of the team if he's part of the team, unless you're moving him. Lassie Thompson has one more year of ELC, so I guess you don't have to bring him up if you don't want to. But who else? Sokolov is in his final year.
Crookshank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's guys that if you don't get a look at them and then you sign them and try and get them through waivers, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you know, all that to say. So I will pull back the curtain on production here a bit. We do have 2 minutes remaining in the Zoom. So I'm going to put you on the spot here, man. If you got more stuff you want to talk about, I'm perfectly happy throwing another Zoom link at you and keep going. If not, I'm perfectly happy to let you go if you're done for the night, man. Completely leave it up to you.
Yeah, I guess I mean we're talking future stuff anyway. We can do a postseason chat.
We go. Do a little off-season show or something. We'll see what we can do with that. Yeah. All right. Well, listen, man. Thank you again for coming on. 3-time guest Terry McGurrin, man. It's been great getting to know you over these shows, man. Everyone watching and listening to the show, thank you so much. And I saw a few people in the chat saying that they love you as a guest, and don't worry, as long as Terry wants to, he will be back on next season. So
thanks, Charlie.
we'll be bringing you on a whole bunch later on. So thank you everyone for watching and listening. Make sure to like the stream and video and subscribe to SDPN on YouTube. And well, fingers crossed for next game, I guess.
Game over! Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.